Welcome. You have just tuned in to the book of Jennesis. Get ready to fasten your seatbelts because we are stepping all the way out the box and breaking all the rules. Are you ready? Are you sure? Well, let's get into it. Here is your host, the wonderful, the beautiful, the intelligent, the wise Jennesis.
Hey, YouTube. Y'all, it's been so long since I've been here. I don't even know how to operate the equipment, but it is what it is. Y'all, I've been on a little hiatus because, it was summertime. I was outside and I was doing everything but YouTube. But we here tonight for, I don't know what kind of show. Y'all know it's laid back over here. We're doing something a little different tonight. It's gonna be kind of serious, but we're gonna try and keep it lighthearted. Because I think it's a topic that we need to discuss. So without further ado, we're just gonna jump right into it because I was on CP time a little bit. But joining me tonight, I have my YouTube cousin, y'all know, my favorite co-host of all time, Mr. SoulToucha the Poet is in the building.
What's up?
Cousin, how are you?
My favorite cousin in the world, my YouTube
I
cousin.
know, right? We
Look
are
here.
in here.
I heard you. I heard you talking about that hiatus because you've been outside in the summertime. Hey.
Yes, I find everything to do besides get on this YouTube channel. I'm like, one of these days I'm gonna take it seriously. I don't know what day it's gonna be, but yeah. And I gotta say hello to the chat. Hey, Miss Peace Love, my beautiful
Eugene, what's good
beautiful
with you?
queen from the Sunday edition, the Queen's Edition Sunday Raw Conversations on Raw B Privileges channel. Hey, Eugene Steele. I miss Eugene Steele. He always showing support for everybody. He is in the building with us tonight.
That's what's up.
I know, right? So tonight's topic. Y'all know I everything is unscripted, so I don't have any prepared questions. We just gonna have a conversation. And what prompted this conversation was the death of Takeoff. Okay. And everybody was doing their reactions to his passing, and Snoop Dogg made a comment and said, Black men deserve to grow old. And I thought about it and I'm like, wow, we have so many artists, entertainers, folks in everyday life, men of color who are checking out young.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about why that is. Is it because of the lifestyle? Is it, because we know that there's a compilation of things, but is there a primary cause? And if so, can we fix it? Or how do we fix it? But before we get to solutions, I want to talk about the struggles of Black men. I know in Takeoff's case, he was, hey, Cannon Hill. In Takeoff's case, he was, there's a whole bunch of stories swirling about what happened. They were at a dice game. And, they say that an argument ensued. And then there's reports that, it was a beef between some other people. And him and Quavo were attempting to mediate the situation. And someone, fired a gun, fired a firearm, and he was hit. And obviously he wasn't the intended target, whatever was happening. What we doing?
I don't know. That's sad. I mean, because
Right.
like me and you are at the age to where we can say he was old enough to be our son.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's just sad that this is happening on a continuous basis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we're losing our black men in front of and behind the trigger.
Right.
I say behind the trigger because it's like if you behind the trigger and you feel that you need to take another person's life that looks like you're lost. Um,
Right.
Nothing when it comes to takeoff, in my opinion, nothing in that situation seemed like it needed to be resolved with a gun.
Right.
Other thing that I have looked at with all of these young rappers or just people, these young men of color, is
Right.
that one, you need to act your age, and you need to act your wage. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these people that are getting in trouble outside of the celebrities, a lot of them are not doing what they're supposed to do in their everyday life. And what I mean by that is if you are between the ages of 7 and 18,
Mm-hmm.
why aren't you in school? Like, why are you not in school? Because I watch the news, and every time this stuff happens, people say, "Oh, they took the community centers away. They took this away. They took
Mm-hmm.
that away." And it's like, wait, this is your neighborhood. These are your kids. Why aren't they in school? They
Right.
don't need after school programs. They need to go to school, do what they supposed to do in school, focus on studying, and get their life together. And it's like, where the parents, where the kids at, where's the village, like where are we going wrong here?
You know, I don't know that it's all parents' faults. And I say this because um that death um kind of opened an old wound of mine because
Okay.
I have experienced the loss of a child, not my biological child, but a nephew whom I raised. He was a victim of gun violence. And, I'm not going to get into the story today.
Mhm.
That's the whole story for another day. But, you know, as parents, we do, we parent the best way we know how.
Right.
And once they become of age, we have to release them out into the world. And
Hmm.
once we release them out into the world, we pray, that they've listened to all the lessons that we've tried to give them, the morals and stuff that we've tried to instill in them. It's like when we've done our work,
Hmm.
we let them go and say, "Hey, I've done what I need to do. The rest is up to them."
Hmm.
In this situation, what baffles me is the fact that they have reached this level of success,
Hmm.
but their mindset hasn't evolved with their financial status. Like,
Mm.
you have all this money, what are you doing hanging out at a dice game?
But the crazy thing about that is they were at a private party, you know,
True.
and
But
being
you
at a
know,
private party is like, why are you engaging in a dice game at a private party? Why don't you just go to the casino and block off that section where y'all can do this legit? Like
mhm,
and it goes to what
right.
you're saying. You reach this financial status, but your mind is not there. Like it's mind blowing to me because um yeah, at some point these kids go their own way. In Cannon Hill, I would like to ask uh what year was your son 14? um
Yeah, she said her
i
son was
i
14
i i,
at
I
the time.
asked that because um I've known people. I'm 49 now, and I've known
Mhm.
people when I was 14, 15 who ran away, this, that, and the other. But
Mhm.
I was never in an environment to where they ran away and they did wild stuff. Okay, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It seems like the more time goes by, they just I don't know if it's peer pressure. I don't know if it's social media. I don't know. I really don't know, but it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to me, and it's troubling to me because if I look back on my childhood, if I look at all the nonsense that I've been through in my childhood, I thought about running away, but I never
Mhm.
ran away. I thought about doing wild stuff, but I never did wild stuff. The wildest stuff I did was stealing stuff and getting into fights. And
Mhm.
back in my day, getting to a fight, it was okay. You can get into a fight and go home and
Right.
come out the next day and everything be good. You might get into another fight a week later, whatever the case may be, but you're not getting shot where
Mhm.
I grew up. Um, but it's just crazy to me that these kids and these young men or even older men feel like that's the way to go. Like,
Right. I mean, like what you said, when we were kids, we, we had fights. Heck, I fought my way through life through high school, clean
mhm,
on up to my senior year, and I had a few episodes as an adult even.
right.
Um, and it had nothing to do with my upbringing. I can't say that any choice I made was because of poor parenting
Mhm,
on my parents' parts. It was, I had to go out into the world,
mhm,
and even though some of the things or some of the places I knew I shouldn't have been there, and my parents would have frowned or grounded me, back then, whoop your tail if
right.
they knew where you were, but I did them anyway
Mhm,
because some of it out of curiosity, some
right.
of it peer pressure, things like that. But I can't say that my parents weren't there, they weren't active. It's all about personal choices, and
Yeah.
many times when we see the struggles of the youth now, we're so quick to blame the parents, and I don't think that it's parents' fault in all cases. Yes, in
Mhm,
some, they talk about absentee fathers and
mhm,
things like that. And black men not having any guidance. But in any case, every case, that's not the case. Um, and I'm gonna do something different. Normally we have a conversation, um, with the co-host, and then let the audience join in
mhm.
later on. But I'm gonna drop the link early, and anybody that wants to come up to join the conversation, then please, join us, give us your input, kind of a town hall meeting on a Monday night. Hey,
Yeah.
Robbie, um, because I think, having lost a child to gun violence and having a son now who one day will be a teenager, will be out in the world, and the things that I've seen as it relates to black men, whether it's gun violence, whether it's um, the police misconduct, you know, I'm concerned for our black men, and not just the youth, but adults.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it's kind of harsh to blame parents. I can honestly say, um, but I
Hey,
mean,
red
there.
lipstick vibes.
What's up, red lipstick? But there are situations. I don't know the percentages. I'm not a
Right.
statistician or anything, but
Statistician. I hate them
there's
anyway.
a percentage of people out there who can legitimately, well, their plight can be looked at from the parents or the family, and at
Right.
the same time, it can be looked at on the individual. But the thing that I don't know, I don't like when people say to me, well, you didn't do this because you're strong. And it's like, it's not
Mhm.
because I was strong. It's because I looked at what everybody was doing and I said to myself, I'm not going to be that guy. And it's
Mm,
like the lure of money and this and that and the other. Yeah, it was intriguing. But
mhm.
when I look at I could die, I can go to jail, you know, all these things. It's like the negative. It was too heavy for me to even comprehend. So it was like, nah, I'm not even going to do that because I just don't. That's not me. And it's like I see people every day, and it's like, you have not seen what happens to other people out there. Yes, you think you're bulletproof and say, oh, it ain't gonna happen to me. I'm gonna do things this way, do things that way. But one slip and you done.
But in there, welcome to the show, Cannon Hill.
What's up? What's up?
Hey, SoulToucha. Hey, Jennesis.
How you doing?
Hey, is it a lack of maturity though? You know, because nowadays our kids are exposed to so much at a young age, but then the maturity isn't progressing as fast as the exposure to adult situations and adult things that they should be protected from.
Cannon Hill.
No, I think, see, the thing is that stuff like this is never one thing, right? It's always really just a combination of a lot of things that you really can't fully hash out until after the season has passed and you look back and everybody able to be like, it was this and this and this and that, right? But as I always talk about how the rate of change for technology we have never seen this in human history, like this type of rate of change. Like we have had like drastic changes like within the same generation of like, you know, like the way we engage and interact with each other and things like that in ways that I don't know we've been able to readily adapt to as quickly as the change is happening. So it's like you said, these kids get exposed to so much more than we ever did. It's like we had our immediate circle, we had stuff that was going on in our neighborhood. They got these stuff on these phones that they can just see whatever, and they all think like they all have this idea that they're one viral video away from becoming successful, right? So they all have that idea in their heads, and then they also grew up in a time, remember, and I mean, you have to have stuff like this, but at the same time, I feel like they grew up in a time where they're told, like, you know, you can call this number on your parents if they've done this thing to you or that thing to you. Right. So they get
that season.
So like they get kind of this sense of entitlement, like you can't do this to me and I have rights and I'm this and that, you know, and it's just like that's what I feel like they literally feel like they haven't earned.
You cut out.
Sorry, I got a call. But it's like, can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. But it's like they haven't earned anything, but they feel entitled to everything as though they have. And that's like the sense that I get. Well, that's I'm speaking from specific experience with my son. He's 20 now. But it's like they have all of these, you know, ways that they just feel like they're owed things that they haven't earned. It's like just because they exist. And they also have, again, a sense of entitlement and selfishness. Like our culture in general is getting more and more self-centered. You know what I mean? More people are getting less community oriented and just very more self-centered. So you have that, like they don't have this look like they like, what do I want? What, like, gimme. Every, like, how do I feel? What's gonna make me happy in this moment? What, you know, it's like they're so self-centered. And I think a lot of it does have to do with like social media and a lot of those other things that has caused them to be that way. So it's really difficult. It is very, very difficult. And especially when you talk about Black boys in particular, with a lot of the images and the lack of role models and the lack of resources, it's way worse.
And that's where I mean, we know that there is an attack on the Black man. And, you know, it comes from a number of angles. The, you know, lack of resources in the community, you know, access to education in the workplace, you know, that not being, you know, paid what their white counterparts are being paid. So, you know, where do we start to fix it?
I think we start in the community. I struggle going back and forth with this, and y'all say a lot of valid stuff, but for me, when it's said it's a lack of resources in community, it's like I have to ask when I ride through Baltimore and I ride through DC, I have to ask, what is the lack in the community from? Because it's like, if the people in the community don't care about the community, why should anybody else? If the black man doesn't care about the black man, why should anybody else?
Agree.
Yes, we are being attacked on all angles, and we have been attacked on all angles for like 3, 4, 500 years, you know. But at what point does the black man, the black boy, sit down and say, the odds are stacked against us? Why are we slapping each other down? Why are we erasing each other? At what point do they sit there and say, we need to do something to strengthen our communities? And these younger ones, why are they so eager to throw their middle finger up at guidance? And it's like, sometimes it's like, yeah, they got social media slapping them all and all this stuff all over the place. But again, at what point do y'all sit back and be like, yo, another one of us is going, another 5 of us is going, another 10 of us is going in a day across in one city? This is happening. And it's like, y'all, everybody, you know, they say it troubles me that the finger is always pointed outwards, but nobody is pointing inwards in a lot of places.
Seriously. I saw something earlier that said, it said something along the lines of, a lot of these black men, they rightfully have all of these emotions and all this anger and all this frustration and all of this stuff, but they don't have they can't put their finger on what's behind it. Like before, again, like our history has been erased such to a point, and it's like they still are carrying around a lot of those feelings of like being disenfranchised, but they don't understand what's happening around them. Like, that's the difference. You know what I mean? It's like with the civil rights movement and things like that, people knew why they were angry and upset, and they were acting accordingly. But it's like now that all you have, it's like been dumbed down to a point that all you have left is those emotions and all of that stuff, but not the understanding of what's actually going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And what I don't understand is why the rage that they have, or the disdain for the treatment that they're receiving, isn't the fuel for them to try to make change.
Because they don't have the information. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but that's the problem, because they don't have the education or the information around it, right? Because, again, I have to blame technology, because people have access to a lot of information, but they also have access to a lot of misinformation, and they're not information literate. So they have access to a lot of stuff to tell them a lot of things, but they're not really educated. You know what I mean? Like they're not really educated. So
and who do we blame for that? Is it the parents' fault? Is it the school systems? Is it the community at large?
I say the
it
school
starts
system
with all of it. All of it.
I would say it starts with the community. I would say, because the community is the ones who I feel will put pressure on the schools, maybe. But I just know, putting my kids through school now and me going through school, public school, it's not the same as it was when we were coming up, as far as them actually being taught. You know what I mean? Like actually being taught a lot of things. Like, so it's like, it's really dumbed down, but as a community and as a society, it's everybody's responsibility to make sure that's up to par. So it's community. But so I agree with what you were saying though, SoulToucha. Like, I said this so many times. I'm like, I wouldn't even say no one's gonna care about us until we care about us. I'm just gonna, like, no one's gonna care about us. It doesn't, like, you have to care about you. Like, no one. Why are you waiting for somebody else to care about you? Like that, like, you know what I mean? It's like,
you're right. The help is not coming.
Right, it's not coming. I say that all the time.
You have to help yourself. They're not going to come and save us. We have to save ourselves.
And it's like, that's the other problem that I have with the community part, because it's like, when I see people on the news and say they take away programs, this, that, and the other, and it's like, so you're telling me that as a neighborhood, as a community, as a block, the men and the women in this community, neighborhood, or block cannot get these kids together and teach them anything. And I don't, if you're a weed head, whatever the case may be, live your life. But the disdain I have is so many people are on recreational drugs or whatever floats your boat. And these kids are picking up on that, they following that, and they're repeating that, when you can say, let me put this weed down, or let me put this coke down, or hash down, or whatever, and let me talk to these kids about some real life. Let me talk to them about Black history. Let me talk to them about education. Let me talk to them about finances. You do not need a program by the government to do this in your community. And that's one of the things that bothers me, because I feel like, and I could be wrong, if these older Black men in the community talk to these children in the community, they would feed them knowledge that they're not getting in the public school system. Yes, it has changed. And I think the American school system is straight trash.
Right.
And other countries that are less fortunate than ours they have a curriculum that is like 5-10 times better than ours. So it's like, you need this basic school to get on to the next stage in life, but you have people in your community that can teach you things that you need to know.
But I think it also requires a shift in culture, because, again, as a country, period, not just in the Black community, whatever, we're becoming way more individualistic.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have to have a culture where that type of community oriented kind of support is supported. But if everybody has like this every man for himself kind of attitude, it's like, how do you, in this day and age when everyone is so siloed and cut off from everyone, how do you get back to that community kind of thing, right? Where people don't even communicate with each other the way they used to. Like, they don't even really get together in person anymore, you know?
and people don't know their neighbors, you know?
True.
We come from an era where, you know, everybody knew everybody. It was kind of, you know, how they say it takes a village. It was actually a village working to raise the children, whether they were biologically ours or not.
Right. Yeah.
And we've moved so far away from that. But then at the same time, I understand in some cases, because, you know, folks are crazy.
Yeah, that's why I say it's kind of, it's difficult to figure out in the culture, but I do think that it still starts at the individual level. Like, you literally have to think, what can I personally do to make my situation better? You can't keep pointing the finger outward for everything or waiting for a savior. Like, you just cannot. Like, so there are challenges, but it is up to us to make a better situation. You know, it literally is.
Yeah, it's a struggle out there. I don't even, I've gotten to the point on my podcast where I said several times, and I don't mean it like passionately, but I just don't have faith in the Black community, because it's like, it's the simplest things to progress an individual just a little bit, they refuse to do, and it breaks my heart that it's so, like, the simple, like, just go to school, like, just go to school. Whether the system is trash or not, just go to school. It'll keep you off the streets.
But many times, because there is an attack, and I'm a quick story. Y'all know I'm long-winded, so hopefully I say it quickly. But I know of a scenario where young man was underage. Situation happened. Not even, to summarize, a cell phone, a fight happened, a cell phone was taken from the scene. The police came in and arrested all of these young men. Hey, Nixon, the police came in and arrested all of these young men. One of the young men was 16 at the time that it happened. They waited until he was 17 because he was the baby of the bunch. They went to their school, arrested them, and they all got charged with felony robbery.
Mm.
Felony robbery. Some of them first arrest. So now their first arrest, they're charged with the felony, robbery, and then they weren't given an opportunity, to call parents or call an attorney. They had them sign these statements saying, hey, I did this because it was, if you sign this and tell us this, that, and the third, where they dictated these statements, then we'll let you go home. Well, because they're young, they don't know any better. They do it. Now we've got an admission of guilt from you, and now you're charged with a felony crime, a felony that is going to follow you for the rest of your life. So when we're talking about, them not having access to education, okay, well, once they're charged with the felony, well, what colleges, even if they are, athletes, what colleges are now going to be scouting them? Are they going to be eligible for financial aid in order to go to college? Futures are being ruined, because of police misconduct, but then that's not being addressed. So, while I do think that it starts with us and we have to take responsibility for ourselves, then I also sympathize because, the systemic racism or the attacks, on the Black man, it's kind of like they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that more of us do need to be educated, and not even just in the sense of like maybe secondary education, whatever,
right?
Like just educated, informed, understanding how to decipher information, learned, right? Because we used to educate ourselves,
right?
Like we didn't need, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not impossible to educate yourself. But this is the problem that I'm seeing, that I feel like is the biggest issue. And I was reading Bell Hooks, and what she said to me, I think it was like, which book was it? Oh, goodness. It was like, well, I think she did a couple about Black men, but this one, she was talking about how after everything happened with the civil rights movement and King was killed and Malcolm X was killed and all the thing through those times, she said during those time periods, we knew we were fighting for our souls. Once that happened, people became more materialistic and began to equate like the success of them as a Black person as more of a material thing. Like if they were able to get money or able to get this thing, then now they've accomplished something. And that's what they equated any fight with, right? And so even that's systemic. Like, that we had COINTELPRO, we had all of these things that literally came out to do this stuff intentionally. So it's like when you look at it, you see why. I don't know if you guys have heard of the concept of learned helplessness, where they did the study, and it was like you can have learned helplessness like within an hour. Like it don't even take that long. So just imagine generations of learned helplessness, where it's like, again, this is like being passed down, where it's like a sense of, well, we might as well not even, because every time we try to do something, they gonna knock it down anyway. So, but it's kind of like that, and we, that's what we have to tackle. If we don't tackle the inner problem that is a result of our outer problem, then we're never going to get to that outer problem. You know what I mean? Because we've so thoroughly just accepted, you know what I mean? It's like we've been so thoroughly infiltrated by this thing and by this system, right? So it's like we play right into it from every angle.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because that is, it seems like that's deeply ingrained in our culture. Like I hear a lot of people, like I don't whatever your religious or political views are, okay, but it seems like a lot of people are opting out of the very things that can benefit them, and they sort of speak about their rights in a limited view. I have the right to do this, I have the right to do that, they can't do this to me, they can't do that to me. But you choose to disengage from all the things that secure your rights and your ability to do this and ability to do that. And they have what you know what you were just talking about, and it's like, oh well, it doesn't matter what I do. And it's like, if you don't do anything, then what you do really doesn't matter. And you can't say my vote doesn't count, or my thought doesn't count, or my actions don't count, because you're looking at this social media age. You want this instant gratification. It doesn't happen like that. And because you don't get this instant gratification, now you're frustrated. Now you're going out doing something stupid, or something that'll put your life in danger or somebody else's life in danger, and your mindset is just flat.
Is it always the instant gratification though? Because like I'm looking now, we know that when we were younger, when they're promoting careers, when it's career day at school, oh, be a police officer, firefighter, a doctor, a nurse, teacher, lawyer, things like that. There were many careers that weren't even mentioned. Nobody encouraged you to be a tradesman. And now with social media, everybody is all, do this for the gram or whatever. So they're looking at lifestyles and thinking, okay, I want this lifestyle. Well, if the cards are stacked against me in the traditional sense of, get your education, go to college, get your degree, find a good job, move up the corporate ladder, and find success there. If that's not an option, then okay, then I've got to become an athlete or an entertainer. Well, many of them are opting for, like, Cannon said, they're one viral video away from success. So there is that instant gratification in a sense. But at the same time, if you're thinking that I have all these barriers going the traditional route, then maybe this is the route that I need to take. And maybe that's why, many of the young men and now even the young women are, everybody wants to be a rapper now.
Yeah.
The rappers are getting plucked off, every other day.
Yeah, I just said the other day that I wish that as many of them have this I could die any day type attitude, that it was for more of a righteous cause. Because because you see, people who came before us literally gave their lives for the freedoms that we have. Like they literally did, and we don't even remember that. And now they're just giving their lives for stupid stuff. Right. Like that's what I mean. Like they have that kind of mentality where they just live fast and loose, and hey, oh well, if this is my day, then whatever. Or I don't know what you're gonna do for your respect, but I'm gonna die for mine. And the respect is somebody stepped on your shoe. You know what I mean? It's like I wish that they just had that same energy, and if they were dying like they're dying, that they were dying for
a reason.
Exactly. For that, we're actually dying for the fight, the way that we used to. So
in some cases, like with this rapper thing, like, they have the beefs going, and, it was a big thing in Chicago where, they're all going into the same thing. So it's like, okay, I got to eliminate my competition. So this one's beefing with the other one. He gets taken out, kind of like the purported Biggie Tupac thing. The same thing is happening in a sense now, but then this is where our young men are desirous of this lifestyle, the same lifestyle that could potentially get them killed.
I wonder, I seriously wonder if or when these Black men lost their souls. Because for the life of me, I can't fathom or even comprehend how they express so much joy and accomplishment taking another Black man's life, knowing that this is somebody's son, brother, cousin, uncle, whatever. And I wonder what goes through their minds when they're doing this, and I wonder what goes through their minds if this happens to them. Somebody in their family gets taken. It's like, where is the mindset in all of this, and at what point do you sit back and be like, I would hate for something like that to happen to one of my family members, so let me just fall back and chill and uplift and bring the community together. I just wonder where their minds are when it comes to that.
Well, it's a few things. It's they don't have empathy, right? There is no empathy, but there's also, if you don't value yourself, why would you value somebody else? Like, that's just the reality. If you don't value yourself, you are not going to value other people. And if you listen to a lot of them and you look at how a lot of them live and what they're doing, they don't value themselves. And a lot of that does come, again, from predominant society has been very successful in infiltrating our minds and indoctrinating us in that way. So where it's all the way down to the level of I don't matter. And if I don't matter, you definitely don't matter. Like, but that's what I mean. But that's why I say it is a very it's a self thing, because and I wonder too, I also have to feel like epigenetics plays a role, like different things that have literally been like bred into us, or you know what I mean, and stuff like that. You know, we trauma is passed down through DNA.
Right.
That's true too. But yeah, it is. Like they have, science has discovered that when there's trauma, the DNA will actually be altered. Like, it alters the DNA in a way, and that's passed down through generations. So the altered DNA will get passed down to the next offspring. And so now how that manifests and all of that, we can't say, but we know that there's a difference, that something happens there. And so I just want that even when we were like literally enslaved, but maybe because it was like first or second generation coming into it or whatever, but we still had a like, we weren't so defeated, if that makes any sense. Like, we were still like, I'm gonna sneak and read this book, I'm gonna run away, I'm gonna poison this master, I'm gonna rebel, like, I'm gonna do, like, it was still all of these things that we were doing.
Man.
Right. And they just don't have that now, because I'm thinking, if you have so much energy to go after a rival, your rival or nemesis for whatever reason, why not take that same energy and redirect it towards the man or whatever system you think is keeping you or holding you back from success?
Because it seems too big. Like, and that's the other thing that I've been noticing too. It's like a common thread. It's like those types of fights seem to be impossible fights to win. So too many of them, again, don't have self-esteem.
Strength in numbers, though. Strength in numbers. They'll come together, if it's this set going against another set, why not both sets get together and come together and fight, the systemic racism?
That's the part I don't understand.
because that's low hanging fruit, though. Like, that's low hanging fruit. Like, I can go, again, see an immediate return on this thing that I'm doing, and I can get and I also know this better. That's what I'm saying about the fact that they have all of these feelings and all of this stuff, but they don't have the information. Like, they know that something is wrong, but they don't know how to even begin to dismantle it, right? Like they know something is wrong, but they have no clue about how it's actually working. And so then if you don't even know how it's working, then you would definitely have a difficulty figuring out what to do to combat it. Also, I think that what I've been seeing is, again, a lot of them have low self-esteem, and they tie a lot of their worth to their sexual prowess instead. And the stuff like you said, like being able to beat up the next rival and how many women they can sleep with, like, kind of for that instant serotonin. You know what I mean? Like, oh, now I'm valuable because I've had all these kids, or I'm valuable because I've bedded all these women. Like, that's what makes me like, I can't be valuable in any other ways. Like that seems too hard. Like that's too much. But I can be valuable in this. You know what I mean? Like I can be good at this thing. And it goes back to it just goes back to like straight indoctrination. And the biggest problem in the societal change is I think that before things were more covert, were more overt. Yeah, so you see it like in your face. Like everybody was running around like, you N-words, we hate you, y'all stay over there. Like, and so you're fighting against something that is right there, like you can see, you know what I mean? But it's like now, since it's more covert, I even get frustrated because we debate about it too much. We even debate about what race is
covert now, though.
That's what I was about to ask. Is it covert?
I mean, since the orange man was in there, they real brave now.
Yeah, but he was but think about it. He was the first one in a long time, which is why it was so jarring to everybody. But they've been doing dog whistles since forever, right? Where it's like plausible deniability, where instead of saying, I don't like these N-words, they're like, I don't like thugs. And then you be like, well, what are you talking about? Where I'm not talking about black people. You know what I mean? And it's like, what?
Oh my! You know what? I agree. But it bothers me because it sounds like when I hear this conversation all the time, it sounds like our people are just getting dumber by the decade. It's like it was overt then. What makes you think at the year 2000 it just went away? It's always there. It's like you see Karen here, or you go into the store and somebody's still following you around the store. It's like none of this went away. So it's like, at what point do you sit back and say, ain't shit changed? It just evolved with technology. Like I just I don't get it. And it's like for me, it's like I had low self-esteem. I had very low self-esteem. I didn't think I fit in. I was out there shaking my nuts at anything that rattled so I can be known. But it got to the point where it's like, you know what? That's not it. And then it's a lot of that street stuff is like, that was never it. And I have, family members close in age to me, older than me, younger than me. And I'm like, I had a rougher life than y'all, but I just don't understand how y'all are so disconnected from reality. I don't understand how you say, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened. It's like, you ain't been through half the shit I've been through. And I don't see the need to do the self-destructive or culture-destructive stuff.
Learned helplessness.
But I was going to touch on that self-esteem thing when Kenan brought it up. Like, if the children have, or the young men have low self-esteem, are the parents to blame? Because aren't we supposed to be building our children up or making them think that they're great, that they're capable of everything,
I blame my mother for my low self-esteem.
Yeah, it's kind of multifaceted too, right? Because I always say, like, even with my daughter right now, right? I'm always trying to be very mindful of the things that she's exposed to. But in doing so, I'm realizing how difficult that actually is in real life, right? And so, because I remember being maybe like 8 or 9 years old and wishing to be white. I wanted to be white. Yeah. Like, why would I have wanted to be white? Like, what? Like,
I went through that.
It was, you know what I mean? And it's like, so I always think about and wonder, like, but it has to be the messaging that you get in so many subtle ways, that white is right and black is bad. And it's like, even when you look at I don't know if anyone's ever seen like the doll test, where they'll have like little kids and they'll have like the black doll and the white doll, and they'll ask which one is the bad doll, which one is the good doll, the smart doll. And it's like the kids already, like 3 years old, are already pointing to the darker ones as having the worst attributes. And the question does become, where does that come from? You know what I mean? Like, right. like that does become the question. And it comes from, that's why I say it's not always just one thing. It does come from so many different places. It's like, it's so deeply ingrained. and that's kind of what I was saying about, and it's not that just our people are getting dumber. People are getting dumber in general.
Yeah, they are.
And the problem is we were already on the bottom. right? So we can't afford it. We can't afford it, right? But it's like that's just in general what's happening. Like people are less educated, people are more miseducated. With technology, people are able to literally only absorb information that confirms things that they already believe. So they, so they're not getting any new information or really learning or growing in a lot of ways.
Okay, do you bring that up? Isn't it going to get worse? I mean, when we're fighting things like, how in Texas they're looking to take, or they are taking Black history out of the curriculum.
Yeah,
then what little, and we had little information regarding Black history, other than the most, notable persons. They don't really delve into Black history in the schools the way that they should. What little they were providing, now that's going to be taken away. So how are our kids going to learn?
I'm gonna have to agree with SoulToucha on that. Like the schools have never been great at introducing us to our history anyway. And one of the things that's I learned that a revelation, I'll say, I can't remember who said it, but it was a revelation that I had when they were like, just imagine the first time people who look like you show up in history is through slavery. Like that's how we're taught. We're not like as Black people, the first time we learn in school about anything that has anything to do with Black people is through the lens of American chattel slavery. Is that really the way we want our children introduced to who they are?
Yes, because that's how we started. But the thing is, the problem.
How we started in the U.S., you mean?
Yes, that's how we started in the U.S. Okay. Now, the problem ultimately is that no one teaches you about Black heroes and Black accomplishments. That's always been the missing ingredient in Black history. And Black history is only taught once a month. And then if you're in school and it's not Black History Month, there's like 2 chapters on it at the most. At the most, depending on what state you're in, what curriculum you're in, at the most you get 2 chapters. So you're not taught anything about Black history. There was slavery and it was real bad. And then you had the Civil Rights Movement. They don't teach you about the Tuskegee experiment. They don't teach you about Reconstruction. You get to find all that on your. They don't teach you about any other crazy stuff. Right. They don't even teach you about the Ku Klux Klan. They did down here because, this is where they started the shit. This is where they started it here. So, I mean, in Alabama. So, yeah. So they touched on it for seriously, about 3 minutes, Jennesis. I remember this. That's all we're going to talk about with them? I mean, they were a pretty prominent figure during this time period. That's all we're going to get?
To be fair.
But to me, my parents said, the thing is, parents have to be parents. They do. And it's hard for parents to do that if they have to work 2, sometimes 3 jobs. And they were not educated on these things themselves. So what do they teach their children if they don't know anything? That's where you get the whole lesson of, okay, go to college, get a job, get married, have a family. But these days, you get go to college, get a job, so you don't have to depend on anyone. Be an individual. You're not taught to be a family. We're not raising our kids to cooperate with one another. Boys aren't taught how to treat girls or cooperate with girls. Girls ain't taught how to treat men and cooperate with them. So we grow up. So we start so young doing this. We're being taught to be separate from one another these days. Our generation, okay.
Is that even the solution though? Because now that our kids are going to college, they're incurring all this student loan debt, only to graduate to get a job that people who didn't require degrees hold the positions that people who weren't holding degrees.
I get what you're saying.
Had. So it's kind of like now they've got to at least get a master's degree, which is going to be more debt, only to get, this nominal compensation for this job that they're doing.
Yeah, master's degree is only
their compensation is enough to pay off the student loan
Right.
debt that they've incurred.
Now here's the thing. I'll say this. Give me 1 second, Cannon.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
My apologies. You hear people in these spaces say marriage is the answer. Marriage is the answer. It's not the answer, but it's one of them.
Part of it.
It's one. It's a solution. There are other solutions too. You know what I mean? Not everybody needs to be. Not everyone should be married. Some people just. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen people who are married. I've seen some married couples. I'm like, these two y'all shouldn't be married to nobody. Like, as individuals, y'all should just never, as individuals, neither one of you, you know. So, but it is a solution. I think that family should be taught. You know what I'm saying? Like growing up, my sister and I, and all my cousins, we were all taught to get along with one another. You know what I'm saying? Don't fight each other. Like we get whoopings if we fought each other. But if someone picked on my cousin, who I just got into it with, and I didn't help him, I get an ass. I get an ass. You stood there. Wait, you what? You stood there and watched it? Yeah. Come here. They taking the belt off or getting a switch or something. We were taught to be unified, and to this day we are. You know, and that kind of those kind of lessons aren't being taught anymore. It starts there. Because that's what I've noticed. And I listen to these people on these panels. Seriously, Jennesis and Kenan, people are just not being taught. In fact, they're not being taught any knowledge, and they're taught to not be around each other. We're taught to separate nowadays, whereas once upon a time it wasn't there. It wasn't like that. And for me, it was hard to grasp at first because I saw it, but I was like, nah, that couldn't be it. But then the more I watch people and I listen to them talk, I'm like, yeah, that's actually what it is. Y'all just either weren't taught nothing or you were taught to separate yourself. You know, and that's why you get people who actually make it. I don't know where the disconnect came from, because you came from our, you know, from our people, you know, especially the people who grew up poor, like Ben Carson. Grew up poor. Now the guy's the greatest neurosurgeon in human history. But he gets into politics, and you listen to him talk, you're like, this dude is dumber than a box of rocks. Stick to the doctor stuff, man. Don't do anything else.
Well,
but then he talks about black people in such disparaging ways, and I'm just like,
well, that's that internalized self-hatred, right?
Yeah, like Kanye West, internalized self-hatred until he's in trouble and he needs black people's help again. Right. Then he runs back. So I was like, no, I'm gonna let the Jews have you.
And that's
maybe they'll teach you some humility.
Oh my god.
So, but I was gonna say two things though. Like, the first thing is that I do think that it matters that the first time we learn about our history is when slavery pops up, because there aren't other groups that happens to. Like, even for quote unquote the construct of white people, we learn about things that happened when they were still part of Britain, before they came over here settling. So it's not like it's just American history starts just at American history, right? No, that's the first time we learn about anything about black people. We learned about plenty of stuff about white people before they got to America. All types of stuff before they got to America. Like all these different groups that came over. We learned about their history before they got here, not ours. Like, our history when you in school starts at, okay, y'all part of the slavery. It's like, oh, some black people, here they go. Like, and so I think that we have to do better at educating ourselves so that we are able to teach our own children, and that I think helps instill self-esteem, helps instill more esteem in them, you know, for as they grow. And then I also think, though, as we talk through these things and try to figure out what the next steps should be and try to come up with solutions, I also think that it is important for us, as best we can, to still recognize that there are different tactics and different behaviors and different things that are going to be successful in different environments, right? So, like, when you say marriage, for instance, in the way that we've always traditionally known it, I don't see relationships in general ever going back to how they were before, unless society collapses or something and starts over, right? But as long as it continues to progress, and I'm saying that because people were more limited with their option previously, right? People were more limited in their ability to travel and their ability to go around and their ability to communicate. So yeah, you're gonna have people who gonna be in longer lasting relationships. Like, everybody live in the same, you know, you live in the same little farm town. You know, you got the next farm a couple house is over. You didn't marry the girl from over there. And, you know, like, and that's how that works. But it's like now when you look at it, like people can hop on a plane whenever they feel like it and just go, like flights are cheaper. People can pick up a phone and just.
I don't know about cheaper. My ticket was $700.
I'm saying it's cheap in a way that the average person does it on a daily basis.
Not the average person, Candy.
Yeah, the average person gets on airplanes. Stop.
No, I've done it 3 times since I've been dating the person that I'm dating.
Exactly, and you're the average person.
No,
just hopping on the plane.
I don't make an average income.
I didn't say average income. I said the average person. Right, the average person can fly on a plane, as opposed when flight travel first came out.
Define average.
It was just the average.
We ain't on the bus. We ain't on the Greyhound. We ain't on the
that's true. That's true. That's true.
Right.
Yeah. And my thing is like Kenny has some really good points here. You know what I mean? But like, and I agree with her. I don't think that traditional marriage, the way it used to be, is going to come back, and it's a product of social engineering. Like, and we've drunk the Kool-Aid yet again. We're so busy looking at this shiny object being shown in our face. Independence. When your power is in numbers, you're always going to come out better coupling with someone, splitting bills, and digging each other out of debt, building something together. You're always going to come out better that way if both people are on the up and up. But if you got one on the up and up and the other one just coasting, Jennesis, you know what I'm talking about. If one is on the up and up and the other one's just like ain't about 2 cents, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
Oh man!
I think it's a lot of sisters. You hear me saying this? I understand why sisters have so much vitriol for relationships and dudes. I get it now. I get it, because a lot of these guys out here, I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about?
But where does that come from? Where does that come from?
Here's the thing. They're not being, again.
Is that because they haven't learned what a man is supposed to be in a relationship?
Yes. Here's the thing.
They haven't learned that at home?
They haven't learned that at all.
And no one's teaching them how to be
Real
Housewives and stuff.
Right. They haven't learned this at all.
But at the same time, when you're saying we have social media, we also have the men who know what being a man or being
they don't listen to
head
us.
of a household is.
They don't listen to us.
Why aren't those men being the mentors for the ones who are willing? And
we are
to the idea of learning.
Well, the thing is, we are.
We're gonna go down this road. We're gonna talk about it. We got to talk about
we'll talk about it in reality. And because I'll tell you, because we just did this literally. We literally, and I'm right now in the process of scheduling another one on December 2nd for December 2nd. Right, okay. Another conversation. It's about bridging the gap between the older generation and the new generation. You know, because I come on the tail end of Gen X, right? I'm part of that last crop there, right? So I grew up with Gen X. I'm a Gen Xer, but I saw what the millennials were doing at the same time. I'm just like, and my whole life, I'm like, what the hell are they doing? You know what I mean?
Don't be talking about us.
But at the same, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You got a lot of guys who want to learn. We're willing to teach them, but they're adults now. You have to understand that. There's a certain level of understanding.
Small groups.
We do. We do now. Like you'll see coming on December 2nd when we talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to be talking to some guys from CJ and Tez from the 5100 podcast. Okay. And probably some other brothers too. I'm going to have Bolo there. Paul Bennett, Mr. Bennett. He's going to be some level-headed dudes, you know what I mean, to actually have an honest conversation about it. Okay. So the thing is, a large number of this generation don't want to talk about it. They don't want to listen to us. They'll ask us questions, but when we give them the answer, if it's an answer they don't like, they'll ask us the same question in a different manner over and over and over again until I say, listen, bruh, my answer is going to change no matter how many different times you ask me the question. Ask SoulToucha. These guys today, they don't want to learn, and they never learned how to be a man. So that's why you see so much female behavior coming out of them.
Don't
see
put that
so
on
much
us.
of it.
Don't be acting like
And the thing is, these guys never learn. Well, here's the thing. I'm not blaming women. I'm not blaming women. Here's the thing.
Don't be disparaging us. About
I'm
that
not disparaging you. It's
Right.
not
We
disparaging.
are
No.
here to talk about the struggles of the black man.
Right. This is a part of the struggle.
We are
This is
not
a part of the
talking about
struggle.
dysfunctional relationship.
Let me finish. It's because, in large part, a lot of men just weren't in these dudes' life. Either the father wasn't there. These guys had no mentors, no uncles, anything to look up to. They probably weren't worth shit. Pardon my language, but it's not entirely the woman's fault. If the men weren't there, we weren't there, and we got to eat that. That's an L on our part, not the woman. If she's the one raising them, you have to give her credit for trying. You have to. She tried, but she didn't know how to teach a boy how to be a man. She's never been a man.
Okay, so men.
I mean,
invite the young boys into the man cave.
That's the problem.
I've never seen a basketball court that was empty. Have a town hall meeting at the basketball court.
But that's part of the problem. Wait, first, Miss Creative, I've been looking for you, and you got to talk to Jennesis about part 2 of my story. But
we didn't do part 2.
Nah, we still
okay. Well, we gonna do that.
But
we ain't done part 2 either, Jennesis.
To what Mandrell was saying, though, to what Mandrell was saying, and before I get to that, when you talk about what's not being taught in the school when it comes to us, you have to factor in the fact that us didn't want the white history stuff taught in schools. So their rebuttal to that is, okay, we're going to snatch your black history out of schools. So,
and us aren't choosing the curriculum in most cases.
I know, but we have so many problems with these. We have so many problems with these Confederate monuments and this, that, and the other. They're going to say, okay, well, since we want to take that down, we're going to take this down. But to what Mandrell was saying about these groups and town halls and this, that, and the other, the problem is too many like-minded men engaging in these conversations, and these younger ones don't want to hear it. It's like you can try to pull them in all you want, but it's like all they hear is the Charlie Brown stuff, want. And like Mandrell was saying, they ask the same question in different ways, and it's like, yo, why the hell you keep asking me the same thing in different ways? I'm giving you the information, you refuse to absorb it, you refuse to act on it. So what the hell can I tell you? And it's a little frustrating for us who are willing to teach and those who are unwilling to learn. It's frustrating on both spectrums.
And understand that real men, Jennesis, real men, they're only going to tell you a couple of times. We don't have the time to keep going over this. Like, I've told you the answer. You understand that, right? Yeah, but there's no but. You asked me the question. That is the answer. Now go execute. We're not gonna. That's a waste of our time, and we're gonna get frustrated. We're like, you know what, bro? You just don't want to learn.
Right.
You got all the answers. Go do it yourself.
Yeah.
We don't have time. And that's how thing is. That's how men move. That's how men move.
Non-traditional, something unconventional. Something radical.
Well,
that's beyond difficult, because I've had that experience with my oldest son, and he was going through some stuff, and me and his mother was like, look, maybe you should. We divorced in 95, and we were, had a great relationship, and we sitting there trying to tell him this, that, and the other as mother and father, and his response was, your way is not always the right way. And it's like, it's not about us telling you the right way. We're trying to give you information to make better decisions for yourself, because everything you're doing is just ass backwards and it doesn't make sense. But we're trying to feed you information and you're refusing to consider it.
So where do we start?
A frontal lobotomy.
I mean, it's kind of like the same mindset that they have about, okay, things aren't going to get better. I can't do this. I can't do that. So I may as well go over here and do something stupid or something foolish, Then if the Gen Xers are giving up on millennials and beyond, then how do they get help?
We're not giving up on them. It's not that. We're still at all times, our doors are open.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when you're ready to learn, come see me. You know what I'm saying? You got to come to me for the knowledge. The thing is, you have to come to us for the knowledge. I don't know if you want to learn or not.
Right.
And I don't have to. We don't have the time to just shotgun it and just come at a million people like that and hope that 2 or 3 of them out of that million come out and just want to learn and do all right. You know, we just don't have the time for that. That's not enough of us either.
Why are we using social media more?
Because they're not checking in for that on social media.
I'm saying
for that.
Everybody's on social media,
but they're not checking for that.
They're not looking for it.
Social media.
I know, but
their life is guided by social media.
Look at the information they look up, Jennesis.
Right, like that, and that's what Candy was saying.
Right, like you got Miss Creative in the chat right now saying that she's tired of hearing about discussions about relationships. God knows I am too. Okay, yes. But that's all these people consume, and it's the same conversation over and over and over again, and no one's learning anything because they're asking the same questions. That's why, like again, even on Black Man Unfiltered platform, we don't even really talk about relationships anymore. There's different topics every night, you know. And on my show, I think I talked about it once. Shamari and I might breezed over it once. That was it. Mm-hmm. We talk about something completely different. I mean, if it's not the answer that they want to hear, they're going to keep asking you the same question in a different fashion until you give them the answer that they want.
Yeah.
And that's not how things work. And we tell them all the time, there's some guys I've talked to say, listen, bro, you're going to have to do some things that you don't want to do for a while in order to get where you want to be. That's the sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Why does it have to be that way? Because that's the way life is. You got to be, and I grab your nuts, be a fucking man, and go out there and get what you want. You have to go get it. It ain't going to come to you. Not even knowledge.
That's what I don't understand. When we're talking about, you know, we're not in this, you know, field. We're not allowed at that table. You know, now that we are getting educated now, why doesn't one person or whoever it is have a seat at the table? Because they are allowing some of us in. So that one person have a seat at the table and bring back the information.
I was about to jump in there too.
Right, we got your
answer. You know, share the information. It's like one person gets a seat at the table and they're not willing to share the information.
Oh, that's not true. Jennesis, one of two things.
The information.
There are two things that are happening. We are getting a seat at the table. Now, I grew up in a very pro-black household, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was taught, you know, get your education. You have to be better than them in every way. You have to be smarter, faster, stronger, everything. You have to be better than them, period, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did all that. You know, I'm doing all that. And along the way, my parents are telling me, okay, now once you get there, come back and tell everybody else. Teach everybody what you know. I was taught to do the very thing you would do. You're talking about doing. Right.
When I do that, this whole crabs in a barrel.
Right. And when I do it to this day. When I do it, you know what I get? It's rejection.
Mandrell, I've seen your delivery a couple times. You know,
it ain't even about his delivery.
It ain't even about my delivery.
No.
Listen, I told guys about this, about how to listen. What you can do is be a drone pilot. How am I going to be a drone pilot? No, not the big ones that you're blowing shit up with, but those smaller drones you see people flying around.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what they're doing? What? They study and take a test called the Part 107 test.
Yeah.
To be a licensed drone pilot with the FAA. You don't even have to have a drone. You don't have to know how to fly a drone.
You don't have to have a college degree.
Right. You can go out there and you can study up, take the test, get the license. Now, there are companies out there that will pay you $200 to $300 per hour to fly drones and take pictures
of property.
That's it. Topographical pictures.
Mm-hmm.
They'll pay you $200 to $300 an hour. I said, well, now the test costs money. How much? $165.
I ain't paying no money.
I ain't paying all that. And then I got to study and take a test too. Man, how much a drone costs? Depends on the drone you get.
But you go out and buy like 3 ounces of weed and a damn fifth of goddamn liquor,
and 12 pair of Jordans.
Okay, so now you just shared information.
Temporarily.
You just shared information. So hopefully, at least 1, 2, hopefully, or more, 3 people that are on this stream now, or might catch the replay later on, make a social media post and share that information.
Hey, you know what, Jennesis?
You know what I did? Here's the other problem with that, though. Here's the other problem with that. Go ahead. Because from what Mandrell just said, and from when I graduated high school up to now, I've always heard the military ain't no place for a black man. Corporate America ain't no place for a black man. Then it's like, what place is for a black man? And it's like, you can do the simplest things to get ahead instead of doing the dumbest things to end up in the grave or in jail. I don't understand for the life of me why they don't grasp that information and be like, all right, if I could spend $160 to take this damn test, I pass this test, and I go out and get me, I can go on Amazon and get me a drone on a 5 payment plan, and it's a $3,000 drone or whatever the case may be,
but
and I can make
$200-$300 an hour.
It pays for itself. And then there's full time, and there's full. I just Googled it, right? There are full-time jobs paying you over $100,000 a year to do this full time. That company's paying people
40 hours a week.
Not even. It's like 20 to 27 hours a week.
But a joker want to sit outside
over $100,000 a year
and negative 30 weather selling damn drugs. Like, help me understand right now.
And you're making over 6 figures working part time.
Okay, but then
I'm just saying,
when you're information like that, give all the information.
I did. I gave
pay $165 to take a test. What other steps are they going to have to take in order to get their foot in the door?
Study
study for that exam. And
watch YouTube videos on this very topic,
bro. And I dropped them a link to a boot camp that I'm taking, because I'm currently studying for the exam myself. Because with a security company, I'm adding the drone service to it as well, because that's search and rescue.
Yeah,
that's highway patrol.
Yep,
that's traffic collisions. You know what I'm saying? I'm adding that for private security. That's escort.
But then you got to
topographical pictures from escort. So it's like, look at the utility and the versatility of just having the license and being able to do this.
But I'm now, like, for young men who are in high school, because we're having real conversation. Not everybody is college material.
Right.
So for young men that are in high schools, we should be sharing this information with high school counselors or educators, so that this information, it's kind of like how I mentioned earlier in the show, when we were little kids in a career day, they only talked about doctor, lawyer, police officer, firefighter, nurse, teacher. They're not encouraging kids to go out and take this exam to be a drone pilot.
Their attention,
as they say, my people perish, or as the Bible says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Sometimes it's just ignorance, and I mean ignorance by meaning lack of knowledge, why they aren't able to find something to be successful at, because they're ignorant of their alternatives.
Yeah, I agree. Not everyone is college material. Some people, like trade school, everyone can do.
Tradesmen are making money though.
Tons.
Plumbers, electricians.
Here's the thing, Jennesis. When you
fitters, they are making money.
When you approach people, these young kids with that, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Go be an auto mechanic, dude. I'm like, you know how much money you'll make owning your own garage, as opposed to someone going to like Pep Boys or someplace like that, or taking it to the dealership.
Okay,
dealership's gonna pull you. Yeah, dealership's gonna pull your pants off.
It's mind blowing to me at this stage.
They say I don't want to do it.
Who don't know their way around a car, and
it is. These guys don't know it. Look, I just changed my I changed the alternator in my sister's car a couple of months ago. Like I did it. I wouldn't advance auto parts. I called around. You got this alternator. They said, yeah, I got one refurbished. I don't want one refurbished. I want one brand new. Do you have one? They checked all over the city. I got one on Eastern Boulevard. They got one. I said, all right, can you call and tell them to hold it for me? Yeah. I drove out there, picked it up, went to my mom's house, took Shamari's alternator out, put the other one back in, screwed it down. I know how to change oil, change tires. I mean, who top off fluids? Like, people don't know these things.
Our father's teaching these things.
I didn't get taught that by a father. When I joined the army, I learned how to do it. When I got my first car, but I got tired of going and spending, $100 on oil change, and it's like all I got to do is unscrew this and twist this off and do that and pour this in here, and it's like and
like, that's it.
The other thing about it is this creates these fragile egos with men, because women are looking at these helpless men like, you're a grown-ass man and you can't do basic stuff, so I don't want you. True. Now they're getting their feelings, and now they out there wilding out, and it's like, but you're wilding out because of your own lack of ability or determination to learn simple damn tasks as a human, not let alone a man. It's like, at what point do you say to yourself that you need to learn basic shit in life to go 5 steps?
But many don't know. Many don't know. So for the young men who may not have a father at home, why aren't these basic life skills, which I think that's a basic, you need to know how to change a flat tire if you're going to drive a car. So why aren't these basic life skills being taught in schools? And if they aren't, why aren't we as parents or as the community saying, hey, our kids need to know this?
They don't want to learn it, and people are tired of sticking their neck out there to teach it. But at the same time, it's like, I didn't have a father at home, and it's like, I read shit back when I got a car, you had to read a book. It was no getting around it. You had to read a manual to learn how to do stuff. You had to pull out a map to learn how to get somewhere. And it's like, I don't get it.
I remember a friend of mine, one of my teammates in the army, he married a woman, an African woman from Congo, but she grew up in Germany, right? So anyway, they married, they come back here stateside. She says, Harris, I gotta ask you a question. What's up? Like, how did you find this place? Because she asked me how long I've been in. I told her, and she said, how did you find this place from where you were without GPS? I don't get it. How you guys find stuff without GPS? I said, I used a map. I said, I used a map. You really use a map? Say, yes, I used a map. How did you find the place where I said, well, I found where I was on the map, right? Then I found where I want to be, right? And I look at the roads and look at which roads lead to the place I want to go. This isn't hard. Like, they don't even
basic stuff.
Right. They don't even think that way.
Right.
Like problem solving thinking, critical thinking. Jennesis, it's not. It's sisters. It's just all the crazy shit I said about y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I see now what you're dealing with.
Right.
It ain't much out here to pick from.
It's not.
Sisters, I'm so sorry. If you just give me a chance.
But now,
Miss Creative, I'm sorry.
Okay, but now let's go back though, because you all were talking about using a map. Now I know that y'all both got military background.
No, before the military.
I was using maps when I was in the 4th grade.
Right, exactly.
My mother was in the army, stationed at Fort Bragg, and we went from Fort Bragg to New York City. I pulled out the map and said, "We got to go here, and here."
You got to go take Interstate 95
military brat.
Right? No.
Father around.
But here's the thing: no one taught me how to use a map. I remember being like you said, like in 4th grade or 3rd or 4th grade. My great aunt had an atlas, right? A world atlas. I used to open it because I used to read encyclopedias for fun if I was bored.
Exactly.
So I saw the atlas. I said, "Oh, it's a big map." I thought that it was cool. It was a map. So I read it and I looked at it. I learned what every country was, all the continents. And you know what I'm saying? This is before I went to school. No one taught me this. I just picked up a book and figured the shit out. It wasn't hard.
It still isn't hard. It's much easier.
It's not hard, but if they don't know this,
how do they not know? If you can hop on YouTube, if you can hop on Instagram and look at fat asses, you can look up how to get somewhere.
They know how to look up fat asses.
Google. They don't need to,
they don't use Google. They don't use it
the lazy way.
They don't use Google because I tell them that, I'm like, how do you not know this? Well, ain't nobody taught me. You got Google.
Right. Like,
Exactly.
and then Genesis.
Math when they got a calculator.
Genesis.
No, they don't take a calculator.
And Genesis. When I say you got Google, their eyes glaze over. They're like, yeah, just ask your computer.
Yeah.
Or ask this. What to do? Ask it. It'll tell you.
Just like you have a grown man who does not know how to cook, and it's like, how do you not know how to cook? Nobody taught me.
Listen, let me tell you something about YouTube.
You can go in Google and say, how can I smoke ribs? Right. How hard is that?
But they don't want to put in the effort, is what it is.
That
they don't want to do the work. Genesis. So many guys
drive-throughs and Uber Eats and DoorDash.
Look how much money you're wasting. Like if you spend that same amount of money.
I agree, but I'm saying everything is geared towards convenience gratification. Now.
It is. And anywhere else in the world is not like this. This is the most convenient country on the planet. There's 4 gas stations in a particular intersection. There's tire salons, automobile dealerships, fast food restaurants, everywhere. Hotels, doesn't matter. This is the most convenient country on the planet. It is. And suffice it to say, we're just soft and no one wants to think. No one knows how to think. I think people are just too lazy to think. And that's a sad testament, but that's why it's so easy to control us. That's why our politicians, that's why our people don't want to do anything. Everything's handed to us on a silver platter. Genesis, you had to earn what you got. Even the lessons that you learn now to make you the woman that you are today, you went through the grind. Whatever that may consist of.
But I can't say that I didn't wish I had a cheat code or something.
We all wish we had a cheat code.
If I had a cheat code, I probably would have used it.
Yeah, but the thing is that
every day.
But the thing is, you know why you need that cheat code. They don't.
Right, and it's taking them.
Because you hit a brick wall. Yeah, you hit a brick wall, and you're moving slower than you like. You're like, man, I wish I had a cheat code just to get through this. You know what I'm saying? You made it through the other end, but they don't even know why they need the cheat code. It's just,
and even with the cheat code, it's taking men, especially black men, to get back to the top. It's taking black men 2 and 3 times as long to learn the stuff that we have learned. And it's like, I don't understand why, as a black man, it's taking you that long to learn X, Y, and Z. Not only do you have people who've succeeded and failed before you, not only do you have social media and the internet to help you. That's your biggest cheat code, but you have no resiliency, you have no desire, you have no vision, you have no appetite to succeed. And it's mind-blowing.
Why is that though? Why is that?
Again, it was in this society today was engineered this way.
They wanted like the idea of it.
No, they actually want it, but
the work.
They don't want to do the work. That's what it is.
Because any black man you talk to, he has, the dreams of grandeur. He has the desire to be a millionaire or to be wealthy. So how do you get there? What are you going to do to get that?
Because I found myself doing that even now. Jennesis, like, I'm going to have to relocate my 2 business entities, 2 of them. And it's like, even with that and get them started, it's like, oh God. Because that security company, that was a bitch and a half. I had to get like 5 notary stamps, fingerprints, background checks, you know what I'm saying? Federal background checks, the whole 9 just for me. And I got to do that. I got to get background checks and stuff for every employee that I hire. Fingerprints and the whole 9. And it's like, it is a bitch and a half. But at the same time, as profitable as a private security company is, and now that I have actual real high profile contacts, not only here, but in the state that I'm moving to, I've already made connections over there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can't afford not to do it. Anything worth having, it never comes easy. Yeah, it never comes easy. So yeah, I understand the concept of struggling now so that I can get the big payoff later. You know what I mean? So
but these jokers don't want to struggle at all.
They don't want to struggle at all.
They think they can get through life without struggling. And it's like everything that you are doing is a struggle because you're being counterproductive. Like, especially as a black man, it's like, again, if you are 10 to 18 years old, why are you not in school? That what you're doing right now, that cheat code doesn't work. Like, you're going to run out of lives. Like, you don't get unlimited lives. So it's like, why don't you just sit back and focus on what you should be focusing on and stop running with the crowd? Stop, I don't know. That question as to why this is and why this isn't, it's weird. I don't understand it, and I can't stand when, I mean, I understand it from some people, but when people say, oh, it's PTSD from slavery and civil rights, it's like, MF, that is indirectly affecting you. What you doing right now is not a result of what happened 40, 50 years ago. You need to focus on you right now. Stop living off these stories that you hear from other people that you really cannot identify with, because you are taking on a struggle that you never experienced, never will experience the way that anybody experienced before you. So it's like, how about you focus on what you need to do today, because you actually have it pretty good.
I don't understand though, man. Why it gotta be so hard, man? Dang, and society is not slowing down. Society is not making things easier. In fact, it's making things more difficult. Right, it's making things more difficult. And that's the thing. If you're behind, you're gonna get left behind unless you catch up real quick. If you're not paying attention to what's going on with inflation, like I was doing reports on inflation on my show this like in August, like in July and August. I said, no, watch. This is what I told my sister. This is my predictions. This was gonna happen. But by the numbers, it's happening. I said, listen, it's gonna get worse next year in 2023. It's gonna get worse, and it's gonna be like that for a few years, 2 to 3 years. It's gonna get bad, Jennesis. And it's gonna last a while. It's gonna last about 2 to 3 years. And these kids ain't ready.
I know. I hear stuff like, I saw a TikTok video of a Hispanic gentleman, and he was sending a message to the African American community. And he was talking about how when they start businesses, they're successful. And the reason why they're successful is because they support each other. So if one gentleman, his friend opens a business, they all help each other to ensure that their friend is successful. And, they do that within their community. And he was saying that that's the reason why Black folks aren't successful, because we don't stick together.
That's one big reason.
Yeah.
When I heard his message, it was disheartening to hear someone else be sending a message to us, and what he was saying rings true.
And the problem with that is, instead of Black people taking it as a nugget of information, they get offended by it and react to it. And it's like, instead of you reacting in that manner, why don't you just be like, damn, you right. Let us go over here and get our stuff together, because if we keep on the path that we're on, we'll buy some Yeezys for $300-400, but when Miss Mabel and John want to start a soul food spot, we don't go support that. And it's like, I'm not going over there. I'm going over here. And it's like, when that goes away, then you complain about, there's nothing but liquor stores and fried chicken spots on the corner. And it's like, when something is there to benefit you, your community, and uplift the culture, you segment yourself to the glitz and the glamour. And it's like, yo, what are you doing?
We don't even have that though. Like, I tell everybody that, I don't live in the hood, but I still frequent the hood. In the worst neighborhoods that I frequent, we don't own anything. And it's more and more, the corner stores, corner grocery store is owned by others. Heck, now, we like fried chicken. They attach fried chicken and watermelon to us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even own fried chicken joints anymore.
No.
How is that happening?
Because people are too busy saying this is no place for a black man. So if you keep drilling that into people's heads, they're not going to go out and say, you know what, let me get a fried chicken spot because this is mine, or let me get a grocery store for us because this is ours. But the more people say, oh well, this ain't for us, that ain't for us, and they push the entrepreneur thing, but it's like everybody cannot have a t-shirt shop on the corner. Everybody can't have a slushy shop on the corner. Why don't you think about diversifying what you're doing instead of having 15 of the same things in this neighborhood, but that chicken spot is popping because it's different from what the hell you're doing?
But at the same time, even if they are, because there has to be, a few t-shirt shops or whatever. No, everybody doesn't have to do it. But when they do it, like you said, we have to support them. Mm-hmm. And then many times when people do become entrepreneurs, those same people are disparaged by people who look like them.
The thing is, here's what I learned.
We coined the term entrepo nigga. Somebody else didn't give it to us.
Entrepo niggas. I like that.
I mean, really. So then, if a kid is hearing someone say, oh, well, they're entrepo nigga. Well, I don't want to be like them, because they're equating poverty with entrepreneurship, when in actuality, that's not how it happens. I mean, yeah, we have to do the work. Like you said, we want the instant gratification. People want to start a business, and then, less than a year later, they want to be rolling in dough. They want to be a millionaire. And it really doesn't happen that way. But at the same time, for the people that are courageous enough to do that, we need to support those people, and we need to not talk down on it. If it is 20 people in this t-shirt business, all of them probably won't be successful.
Right.
But some will. And for the ones who aren't, okay, they just didn't find their niche there. Right. So they move on and try something else. But we should be encouraging them to at least try. Because if we stay at a job, then we are building somebody else's dreams rather than investing in ourselves and building our own.
Right.
We don't encourage that. And for some of these guys, like when we're talking about, these guys that want to be rappers and they want to be athletes. Okay, well, everybody ain't got no flow. You ain't got bars. So, but that don't mean that you can't be in entertainment in the entertainment industry somewhere. So look at an alternative route to get into the industry. You might be the sound guy, in the booth.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the producer.
Well,
I want to be a producer. In fact, Jennesis, while on this live stream, I want to have admin privileges right now. I should be running this live right now. You see what I'm saying? That's what you run into, and you're right. And the problem that I've noticed with us is that Black products have to be proven first before we support it.
True.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, no matter how good of a product, no matter how superior the quality, we don't support it out of hand.
Right.
You're right. We don't support each other. And then things could be like really, really good, and we just won't support it for whatever reason. Again, we're being trained to be like this. We've been trained to separate. We've been taught this, because we know we have to be taught like this because we weren't always this way. We were once upon a time taught to be close and taught to be a family.
Right.
Nowadays, that lesson's not being taught anymore. So we have the results we have. Only thing we can do is just hope for the best and do the best we can.
I guess.
But Jennesis, I am one person. I do try with the younger generation. Right. I do try with these kids.
Each one reach one.
Yeah.
That's all we can do. But if we have a public platform, you know, we're now on YouTube and we're being content creators, then we have to use our platform for something productive, not just talking about relationships and talking about how bad black women and black men are, you know, doing these gender wars. Let's use these platforms for something productive.
Mhm.
Right.
Hey, AT12.
Hey, how's it going?
Girl
I just
Black
wanted to
TV,
pop
I'm gonna tell you why I'm in the hood in a few minutes. But go ahead.
in. So yeah, no, I just wanted to pop in. I just wanted to say, like, a lot of times you look at how we view one another. We have no self-respect, man. Like if you look at like the neighborhoods, nobody bothers to even try to keep it clean or anything. You get what I'm saying? Like most of the time it's trashy. Like somebody's tearing somebody else's stuff up all the time, and they have no respect for somebody else's things. And we expect other people to we'll take care of other people's stuff better than we will on our side of town. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, we have to have more self-respect, man, and not always trying to look out for a handout, man. Like life is hard. It's hard enough then for us to be making it harder. And like I got siblings. Like a lot of my siblings, like I got a brother that's younger than me that constantly he wants to work for himself, but he wants to do it too fast. And I'm like, dude, man, you can't do that because you got kids and stuff you got to take care of. You can't just quit, not be working and trying to support a family and trying to build a business. Like that don't make sense. Like right now, I'm working 3 jobs. I'm in the process of buying my first house. I'm trying to really build something for myself. I gotta be a little tired sometimes. Sometimes I can't be on YouTube. Sometimes I can't always just do the things I would like to do.
I'm trying to tell you. YouTube don't pay the bills. We gotta go to work.
Yeah, I get, but it takes sacrifice. So right now, I'm not gonna do this forever, but right now I gotta be a little tired right now. I gotta miss my wife a little bit. Like I gotta make some sacrifices now, so I'm not no old man working. So
right.
I mean,
but we on YouTube, we arguing about relationships. We talking about all the black men ain't about nothing, all the black women ain't about nothing. No, let's get to the money. Stop arguing.
Yeah,
but Jennesis, when I do episodes about money,
Andrea, before you get started, AT Quill, why they can't get a handout though? Why they can't get a handout? Because people getting handouts and other people, somebody reaching down, giving them a hand and pulling them up.
How do you think billionaires become billionaires? Government handouts.
Exactly.
Listen, I kid you not. I kid you not. Government handouts. Listen, now that I'm on this level and I see like how they with these contracts, Jennesis, because you and I talked about. You asked me, "Are you even in the SAM system?" I said, "Yes." Like you made this look at your face like, "Oh, I mean, yeah." I do it. When I do something, I do it. When I found out what they do with these contracts, I was like, "Oh, so that's how they get it done."
Listen.
And then I look into it more. There's so much more stuff out there, man. It's crazy.
If I told people how to get in there, if they ain't registered in SAMS and figuring out, because I just got through talking about people don't share the information. They got all these government contracts. Even if it's a service that you don't provide, they need somebody to cut the grass somewhere. And I actually saw a guy on TikTok. He said that he did it. He wasn't even in the state where they needed the contract. He got on the phone, called a landscape company in the state where the contract was, hired them, added his little cut to it, and he got his money off the top. He wasn't even there. So if they get in, start a business, get your business registered, actually get in the SAM system so that you see these contracts that the government is paying big money for.
And they throw Excel spreadsheet after spreadsheet. I get several of them daily.
Outsource the work.
Yep.
And get paid.
But
I'm like, y'all have any idea how much money I'm getting
while you sleep?
Yeah, people like you haven't lost your clothing brand line. I'm like, you have any idea how much money I'm making with this shit right now? The clothing line can wait. I got the money to launch it.
The government and even the state that you live in, they contract everything they need.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say
There's
real quick
no
before I
reason
go out.
why we shouldn't be getting some more of these contracts.
Go ahead, Quell.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say before I go out, the thing is, it's like you gotta have a plan though. You gotta plan that stuff out. You can't just think that it's gonna fall in your lap. Like a lot of times, we wait for other people to give us the information and not try to research it ourselves, man. Like, you know, a lot of times we live in the age of information. There's no excuse for anybody now not to be able to make any money for themselves, not to be able to do for themselves at this point.
Right.
Everybody has a computer in their hand. Like,
right.
I'm 31 years old. I can remember when the smartphone didn't exist.
I know that's
you had
right.
to use a landline.
Dial up.
Exactly.
Text messages, minutes when you had to wait to after 5.
Right.
So we it's no excuse for us, and I appreciate you letting me
ways to make money, and people they and this gonna sound bad, but they turn up their nose at these hustlers. But those hustlers are entrepreneurs too, because they running enterprises. They just illegal. If they redirect the same knowledge and know-how that they have for something illegal and flip it onto something legal, they can be running things. Like, there's no reason why all of these guys, and I don't want to just make it seem like I'm beating up on the guys, because there's women hustlers too. Why they couldn't take, you know, even if you took off, you know, you bought one less pair of Jordans, so designer this, that, and the third, and invested in something that's going to generate a return, you could get out of the game.
Right.
Into something legit that's going to build wealth for you and your family.
Right. But let me bounce out of here. Thanks for letting me up. I'm going to get back. I
appreciate your contribution.
Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
You know, that's the problem, you know, when they don't, like he was saying, you got to have a plan. And a lot of the problem with a lot of these black men who feel that they're in a constant struggle is they don't have a plan, and they just go at it, and they think that because they went at it, it should come to fruition. But it's like, no, you have to have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, you can't get frustrated because whatever your ambition is doesn't work. Yeah, there's a few unicorns out there that can go at it, and they have the savviness or whatever to push through. But if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have a clue, you need to have a plan, some sort of plan to get you in the door, and you have to have the perseverance to succeed.
Right. And Arab Black TV earlier, he asked, what was I doing in the hood? And I haven't lived in the hood, so to speak, since I was 15 years old. And when I was there, it wasn't the hood like it's the hood now. That's actually why my parents moved out, because, you know, neighborhood changed. However, I never forget where I came from or where it all started. And I still go back, because I live in the suburbs doesn't mean that I can't reach back and help or share or try and uplift somebody who may not have had the same advantages that I had as far as getting out. And I even try and support, you know, businesses, those few African-American businesses that are there that I'm able to support. I do support, and some of those are in the hood.
You know, Quell was talking about neighborhoods, and I see Arab Black talking about gentrification is going on everywhere. And so what Quell was saying is people don't care about their neighborhood, so why is gentrification a surprise? Like, if as a community you care about your community,
why gentrification is a thing.
I don't either, because if you care about your stuff,
properties,
you keep your stuff up, then it's
even if they don't, why are we allowing other people to come in and buy properties for pennies on the dollar, the same properties that we have access to, and we have all this money that we're spending? You know, we're consumerism is one of our top things where we are counted in the numbers. Why are we not taking some of those same dollars and buying some of these dilapidated, boarded up houses and properties that are in our communities and doing the same thing that they're doing? If they can do it, we can do it too.
Because they're too busy buying perishable goods, sneakers, shirts, chains, jewelry, alcohol, drugs. Instead of saying, let me invest in this little property over here. I can get this on pennies for the dollar, rehab it, Airbnb, rent it out, and get goddamn dollars on the dollar. That simple.
We just got to do the work, because the stuff is there. We just got to access it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't, like they say, a lot of people don't even know this stuff is out there. No one even knows to look. But when the difference is when someone tells you that it's out there, you don't go get it. I'm like, well, then what's the point?
Yeah. Why am I telling you this if I know you're not going to go do it? Why am I having this conversation with y'all if y'all are not listening? Yo, you hear me, but you're not listening. And if I show you, you don't want to do the work. And it's like, if you apply yourself, it's really easy. Just go do this.
Yeah, that's why I said the gap between the two generations, Gen X and millennials, both sides are gonna have to come with a general understanding. And I think us Gen Xers are gonna have to just be patient with them, because they're too stupid to know that they're stupid.
I think some of the responsibility is on us, and we all have
some of it is.
We all have to do our part. I know that since I have been on YouTube, I have been here. I've been messing around. Y'all know I was, Saturday night is party time. I wanted to have fun because I didn't want it to feel like work. But I think going forward, I want to have some meaningful conversations. I want to bring some information to share, with whoever may not know. We sit up talking about how, men ain't shit, women ain't shit. Well, how do we become anything if we sitting around all day talking about how bad each other, pointing the finger at one another? So I'm going to make it my mission to do something more productive with my time. Once I decide to take YouTube seriously, and I
you got to stop going outside.
Listen, it's about to be cold outside. No, it's already getting cold outside. But yeah, when it gets snow on the ground, I ain't going outside. So I'm gonna be on YouTube doing something productive. Y'all got y'all platforms. I hope y'all do as well. Anybody listening, I hope they do the same. Let's stop with the foolishness that we have been engaging in on YouTube and actually use it for something more productive. Everybody got beef and they doing reaction videos to this, that, and third. That ain't helping us in no way. Yeah, it might get you some clicks, some likes, some views, but when we're looking at the bigger picture, what are we really doing with our time? And we're here, we're spending hours on this stuff. We're not, rather than us gravitating toward the negative, let's do something positive and gravitate towards that.
I gotta go.
And we getting out of here too. Look,
I got that same notification on my phone.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna make it my priority to do something positive with my channel. Yeah, I'm gonna still have some fun too. I'm gonna try and have some fun while educating too. Yeah. But y'all know I got 5 million shows that I need to do. Like,
really?
Listen, I didn't realize that we were supposed to do a part 2 with you, and then we didn't do it. So I'm like, okay, I got a part 2 with Mandrill that I was supposed to do, a part 2 with you that I was supposed to do. I said that I was going to do a show rather than, tearing each other down. We were going to talk about the things that we like. about Black men and Black women. So I still want to do that. Like, I got a lot of things on my to-do list that I haven't done. I'm on CP time with that, but I'm gonna get better.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'm gonna get better and do it. But yeah, this was a good conversation.
Yes.
Tonight. I enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll do it again. If you haven't already, like after it ends, leave a comment, share it with somebody, tell them to share it with somebody else, and join us. No, you got to hit the notifications because we don't know when I'm going to be back.
Got to do
I ain't
that.
making no promises, but I'm going to be back with something.
Yes.
And yeah, that's it.
I'm digging that shirt you got on. Is that a dress or a shirt?
This is a shirt.
Okay.
It's a shirt.
I'm digging that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Is that a dress?
I do a little something. Like, I was, I would have clothes on during the day, then I take it off. I put on me a hoodie or a sweatshirt.
Right, yeah, straight chill mode.
On YouTube. It didn't quite work out like that today, but I'm gonna get back to, something.
Yeah,
be presentable when I
came home and took my work clothes off.
I normally do. Look, as soon as this camera go off,
I was like,
be in something comfortable, something more comfortable.
I hear that.
Marcus say, I still appreciate Ross, Marshall's, Burlington Coal Factory.
I know that's right.
It ain't even Burlington Coal Factory no more. It's just Burlington.
Right.
Hey, whatever you do, get out how you live.
Man, right.
Yeah, so it is what it is. We're gonna be better. I'm thinking positive, and I'm hoping for positive when it comes to us, and especially Black men, because we need y'all. We need y'all to keep going, and even our brown brothers like Marcus. We need y'all too. So I hope it gets better. I don't want to see all these news stories about our Black men, getting killed by police or getting killed by each other for
addiction and suicide and all that other stuff. Like, your mind is
mental health. Like, I'm not qualified to do it, but somebody needs to be talking about Black men's mental health.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole thing that ain't being addressed.
Yeah. I've had my struggles, and when we jump in our part 2, I'll share. But I mean, mental health is everything, and I'm at the point in my life where peace of mind is platinum. Damn golden. It's platinum.
Yes.
Platinum.
Yes.
And people need to understand that most of everything you deal with in life is mental. And when you convince yourself you're defeated, you're defeated. We all have our ups and downs, good days, bad days. But when you convince yourself that you're defeated, you're defeated.
Part of our problem is our mental.
Yeah.
It's our mental. Whether it's mental illness, personality disorders, or just not believing in ourselves, our low self-esteem. Like, we got to fix that.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen overnight. So baby steps, we each do our part, and eventually we'll get there. But we gonna keep hope alive, as Jesse Jackson say. We not giving up, not just yet.
Not just yet.
Yeah. So I appreciate you, YouTube cousin, for coming through.
Doubt. Always a pleasure.
And
I love your midday.
Right, this is my midday. It really ain't. It's really my after hours, because I'm in the bed. That 5 o'clock gonna be here before you know it.
Yeah, that 4:45 gonna punch me in the face.
I know, right? Like, this adulting sucks.
Yeah.
Look, and wait, the Powerball. I did buy a ticket.
Powerball. I gotta go out and do that.
Right, because I'm a win. Y'all might as well put y'all tickets away, because I'm claiming the winnings, and then I'm gonna be in the house on YouTube, because I ain't gonna have to
right. I'm gonna be in the house for real.
Look, I ain't gonna have to go outside and go to work no more. But
I don't know. I might be outside for a whole year.
You're gonna be on the
I'm gonna be outside for it. If I hit that Powerball, I'm gonna be outside for a whole year.
So you got to shout out your channel and what you got going on, so everybody know where to reach you, because there's some good stuff happening over there too, and some interesting conversations.
Check me out on the King and I Life podcast. We usually go live on Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can check me out on my personal channel, SoulToucha the Poet, on YouTube. I will get to uploading new stuff really, really soon. Other than that, if you want to be a guest on the show on the King and I Life podcast, hit me up anywhere on social media, SoulToucha the Poet, or find King and I Life podcast on Instagram. Shoot us a DM and come on to the show, or just catch us when we go live and join the chat or join the stream.
That's what's up. Y'all do it. Y'all get over there, hit the notifications. So hit the bell so you get all the notifications. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Oh, and one more thing. If I'm not online by the end of the week, happy Veterans Day to my fellow veterans out there.
Yes. We appreciate your service.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. And on that note, we are out of here, y'all. We will see y'all next time whenever that happens.
Holla, holla, holla.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to the Book of Genesis with your host, Jennesis. If you would like to be a blessing, would like to be interviewed, or if you or someone you know would like exposure for your business, call us at 708-595-7500. Again, 708-595-7500. Email at Jennesis@thebookofgenesis.com. That's JENNESIS @thebookofgenesis. JENNESIS.com, or contact us by regular mail at P.O. Box 40, Monique, Illinois 60449. Thank you again for listening to the Book of Genesis.